This is the Note Closers Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well this afternoon. We are excited to have our next guest here on the Note Closers Show. My phone email's blowing up right now as obviously afternoon emails are going out. We are excited to have our guest, Katie Moton, on this afternoon. Hey, Katie, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Now, Katie is a relatively new note investor who's not afraid to pull the trigger. And I wanted to have her on because we've gotten some requests from people like, hey, they love hearing my stories, obviously, but they also, I like listening to some of the guests we've had in the past, like Bill McCaffrey in the second, and Wayne, who's done a couple hundred, and Adam Adams, and even Cody Cox and a few of the others that were on the video show before we had the podcast. But a few people are like, I'd like to hear Scott interview somebody new who's doing it to discuss some of the different challenges, because I think we get a little jaded or take for granted sometimes the things that we go through when we're brand new versus if you've done it 100 times. And I think Katie is a great example of that. So how are you doing today, Katie?
Doing good. Hanging in there.
Now, you're out of Reno, Nevada. Yes. And so why don't you talk a little about you and Chris and kind of your foray as real estate entrepreneurs and where you guys came from first.
So we kind of came from not real estate. I am a teacher by trade, taught for 15 years. And my husband's in the Navy and a computer programmer. And we JV'd on a note, and we had no idea what a note was back in like April, I believe. And the guy we JV'd was Stan Scott. He then led us to Scott, and we started doing some research on what a note was. And we went to the fast track in May, I believe. Yeah, May. And Chris got deployed to Kuwait. So Chris is in Kuwait till April. And I took a year off teaching to do this. So a little crazy.
You guys just didn't want to dip your toe in the water. You guys jumped in first in all the way to the bottom, right?
Yeah. So we're, Chris is working a couple hours his night, our morning in Kuwait, making phone calls and doing some other stuff. And I'm doing the day-to-day stuff here in Reno every day.
Mm-hmm. So you joint ventured with an investor and didn't know what you were joint venturing on?
Well, he's like, I want to buy this note. And we said, what is a note? And then we started learning about what a note was. And then we invested with him. And then we got more interested in what a note was. So
that's good. So had you taken any type of real estate stuff before and gone to any workshops or seminars or anything like that?
I bought a house.
You bought a house, okay?
I bought my house.
That's
a couple years ago.
That's something.
Yeah. Nope. Totally new to real estate. Everything. Chris, I think, has taken a couple courses because he just got his master's in business. And so he took a couple real estate courses in there also.
Yeah. And then it was Chris called me up because for those that don't know, we comp past and present military and first responders into our virtual note buying workshop. That's 3 days. We comp you in. We're glad to have it. It's our way of helping give back to help our past and present military first responders kind of transition or help them out with some sort of boost and say thank you. It's our way of saying thank you for helping make America great again. So Chris, I think, went through that, and then he called me up and was like, "Oh, hey, we're all gung ho. We want to come to 3-day fast track training." And what did I say, Katie, at first when he told me what was going on?
No. You said no. And that's what I actually was like, we're spending what? You want us to do what? Who with who? And it's funny because like every night when I was putting the kids to sleep, I'd come downstairs and your face would be on his computer screen. And I'm like, who is this guy that you're watching? What are you doing? And it was just really funny. And I actually did not want to go until you said no. Because I was like, he's just going to take our money. He doesn't even care that you're going to be gone for a year. Like, who is this person that's willing to accept your money and give you training for something and then you not use it for a year? And so I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then once I heard that you said no, and Chris basically had to beg you.
Well, as I said, he called me up and they told me what he was doing. That he was getting ready to go leave for 9 months. I'm like, Chris, I appreciate that, man. But if you're in this by yourself, you got kids, and you got a wife, and you're in Kuwait, I'm like, there's no guarantee you'll be able to take action. So just wait. We'll be around when you get back. We're golden. And then he called me back about 2 weeks later, I think after you watched some of the videos, or he hung on your leg begging you.
Begging me to do it. Please take it. Well, because we were trying to figure out how I was going to juggle the children, juggle life and everything with him being gone in a full-time job. And so this ended up being the perfect thing. And just kind of fell in our laps, because I actually interviewed for a teaching job and they called me back and they were like, we love you. We want to hire you, but we can't. We hired somebody else. And I was like, well, and then Chris was like, I have an idea. So there it is.
Yeah. So you guys came to the fast track. You put in a couple offers. You got 2 approved, right?
Yep.
And let's talk about a little bit of that process, because that was a learning curve. Because it was like drinking on a fire hydrant for 3 days with you here. Like Jen was just talking to me yesterday. She's like, Scott, because our fast tracks are a little bit different depending on who's in the actual group. We keep it small. I think there was 6 people total.
Yeah, there's 6.
Yeah. 2, so basically 3 partnerships, and everybody's different. And so it was like, okay, going through and asking questions, and Katie had this like deer in the headlight look.
The whole time.
Not the whole time. I will give you credit, not the whole time, but part of the time. And it was funny is that I guess the first Friday night, you went to dinner, go drinks with your friend, and Chris hung around with everybody else. Is like, Chris, maybe you should go with the wife.
Yeah, we were fine.
Just to be safe, right? And he's like, I want to network. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah,
but,
he would.
That was, and then you've learned it and adapted. And Chris, before, you guys were juggling, literally getting him ready to head overseas too, while putting bids in and working through due diligence. So I think one of the big questions we get from people that are kind of new and on the sidelines and looking to jump in, what were some of the things that were the biggest kind of aha moments during that due diligence process?
It was just scary. I think the whole thing was, I think Chris called a couple times and was like, no, ma'am, we're not going to bid. And you're like, yes, you are.
Well, it was funny. I felt like a little bit of a staff sergeant, because he kind of gave me I hate to say, some very wimpy excuses.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
And I'm like, look, let's just go through these. And he would call me. I remember one time it was after the gym at lunch. I'm sitting in the parking lot on the phone with him. He's walking through these 2 deals that you bid on. I'm like, what's wrong with these? He's like, checklist, check. That looks good. That looks great. Have you had a realtor? Yeah. What's the values? Check. And he's like, well, it's still about a 30% yield on those. I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with that? And he's like, silence.
Yeah, it's just, I think just jumping in, like you just got to do it. And we did all the due diligence. We felt very confident about the ones that we bid on. But I think it's just like that first, like just jumping in, because it's kind of scary. It's really scary at first. And so I think like the aha, like things don't move as fast as you think they're going to move. So like once you bid, it's not like you suddenly have this asset in your hands that you suddenly have to like, go and do all this stuff with. So I think that was a big aha moment for us. Like once we got it and paid for it, we were like, now what? And it was like a slow process. It took almost a full month to get the collateral file, the hard one, and just getting it serviced. Everything just takes a while. So I think people have this vision, at least I had this vision that like, once you made the bid, suddenly just like, whoa, you just like went crazy with stuff. And it's slower process. So I think knowing that now it's not as scary to make bids, because if they do get accepted, we have time to do more due diligence. We have time to do more, it's not just like this crazy, it's a marathon.
It not a marathon. It's a marathon made up of a series of quick sprints sometimes.
Yes.
Because you guys had a week to put bids in. You came back with a week, bids, counters. Donovan here, who asked, this is the first 2 notes you purchased or bid on. Did you fund them yourselves, or did you JV with somebody?
We funded them ourselves.
Well, you had 2 that were approved. You only ended up closing on one of those.
One, right. We got 2 accepted. We sent the money over to you, I think. And then when you guys went to go pay for it, they came back and they said already sold one of them. Yeah. Because
we were collecting bids from everybody at the fast track. And so basically, boom, hey, money back to you, and stuff like that. But you guys funded your own. And let's talk about that. So on the one you funded, it took 30 days to get the hard collateral file.
Yeah. Well, they said it was funny because it sent to the wrong place, and then it got sent and sent and sent. And so that was the one that we were trying to find and get back here. And
yeah, because I literally seriously, you wanted to fly out and punch some people in the face. what was funny is when we were co-bidding together, you had your files were sent to another mastermind student who is out of Houston, but he was out of the country. So his wife forwarded the documents to his business partner in San Francisco. And we're like, Jennifer's like, okay, it's like, where's Waldo? Trying to track it down. But your servicing got transferred to you, and who are you servicing?
We use Madison. Shantae was super wonderful and easy to work with, and just love her to death.
Pick up the phone and talk to her quite a bit?
Yeah, and email too, back and forth, a lot of emailing, and I'm asking her a lot of questions, and I'm finally like, am I bothering you with questions? And she's like, no. I'm like, phew, thank you. Because, we're learning I feel like the fast track had so much information. And I took a whole notebook of notes. And I go back and look at those, but there's just some things your brain can't absorb, like after one day, I think my brain was just done. And, and so I think I was able to absorb the due diligence. Like I understand the due diligence stuff, but beyond that, I couldn't process any of the stuff beyond that. So it's a constant now learning, going back and checking my notes, asking you a lot of questions, asking a lot of the mastermind people questions, asking lots of questions, ask lots of questions.
Right. So when did you came in Austin? What was it? 3 months ago, 2 months ago that you came in for the fast track?
May.
It was May. And then you guys came out to the mastermind in August. And let's talk a little about that. Because by that time, you were at home with the two kids and Chris was overseas, right?
Yes.
And it was great. For those that don't know, when you come to a fast or a mastermind, a lot of time, if it's one of your first, usually try to do it every event, but if it's your first time to come to a mastermind, we make you get up and present a little bit. How was that for you? I mean, you're great talking in front of the room anyway with kids and stuff. How was that for you though?
It was fine. It was fun. I like getting in front of people and talking, and adults are different than children. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little more nerve wracking. But once I get going, I just, so.
But you had something that brought Chris there. You want to talk about that? It was kind of funny.
Oh, yeah, I should have brought it in here. My Chris prop. It's a photo of Chris on a paint stir stick. One of my friends, we all get together, our families get together for different holidays and stuff, and they have 2 kids each that are all the same age as mine. And we always take family pictures of the 3 families together. And we were like, oh, we're not going to have Chris in our pictures. So my friend suggested blowing up his face to an 8x10 and then putting on his stick. So we now have Chris. We have Daddy in all of our family photos. But I brought him to present with me at Mastermind, so I didn't have to stand up there by myself. So I helped my Chris prop the whole entire time that I was presenting.
That's great. But you take that with you when you guys go to dinner or take family photos of you and the kids. It's just a great.
Yeah, Daddy comes to ice cream. Daddy comes to dinner. Daddy comes places with us. Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about kind of you guys' transition here with him being overseas right now for a few months and you here. So let's talk a little bit about, you guys use a lot of technology to kind of communicate on a daily basis and work through things, right?
Yeah. It adds like a little extra twist to, all our organization. And that's what we're not struggling with, but that's what we're really focusing on right now is just how to organize everything and divide it up and keep things organized, because we're emailing constantly back and forth. We do Google Hangouts back and forth. We do Skype back and forth. We have a Google Share drive that we can share all our documents and everything that we find in there. And so it's organizing, but I mean, it would be organizing with 2 people. I think in any business is keeping the organization of who does what and how you do it and everything like that. So, but his big thing that he does is he's more savvy, I guess you would say, with like the investor side of it. And so that's kind of his forte. And so I allow him to do, like if somebody calls, we've had a couple of people call off of our self-directed IRA letters that we've sent out. And I let him call it back, which is, I know, exciting, right? And so I find the people, I send the letters, and then he calls them if the one who called us, Chris, called him back. And Chris, so from Kuwait, yes, from Kuwait, he calls him back through Skype.
So you pulled those letters from the county records, is that correct?
Yeah, through Lane Guide. Is it Lane Guide? Yeah.
No, not Lane Guide. No. Through the county records, because you pulled up the list of IRA investors, and then you just mailed out letters to them. Yeah,
we looked at one that you wrote, and we kind of changed it and made it ours, and put our logo on it, and our pictures on it, and
You don't want to leave my logo on there, yeah. I mean, you could.
And we included like a picture of our first note that we did and some of the stats on it.
And how many letters did you send out?
We stopped doing it. I got a little frustrated because I was having a hard time finding, because some counties are really hard to find that information. And so trying to find a county, so I found like I was wasting my time a lot just trying to find the counties that I could find the information in easily. But we probably sent out 30, 50, 60.
Say 60 letters and you've gotten one phone call?
One phone call. Mm-hmm.
And how'd that conversation go with Chris? Everything, the guys interested?
I think they've been going back and forth, just the time zone. That's the issue too. It's like trying, because they would call back and then Chris would call back and then they would call back. And so I don't think we've actually talked to them just because of the time zone. So I think that's where I need to step in and do that for some of the stuff too. But
that's good though. You're getting an investor calls you back. If they invest 25 grand or 50 grand with you, mm-hmm. It's well worth it, right?
Yes, definitely.
Now, you're also working with your guy that you joint venture with on as well, talking and bouncing ideas off each other, right?
Yeah. We talk back and forth with Stan. There's a lot of mastermind people, actually. There's other people I text constantly, email constantly, asking questions. The mastermind group is just so willing to share and so giving of their time and their stuff, which is just, Gail sent over her ROI calculator because we were trying to make our own. I'm like, why is every group making their own, when we could just go off one and tweak it instead of just starting from scratch. And she sent that right over, like, here you go, have fun, enjoy it, Right. So the group is just so giving and so supportive too.
Yeah, it's a good group. No a-holes allowed. A lot of people are like that. Like Gail sharing resources and stuff with other mastermind members and helping out. And, everybody's like that. Karen is a big contributor. Steph does a really good job kind of herding cats into an event for 3 days. And then once we get everybody together, it's easy because everybody's a big heart. So what are some of the challenges? Because I know that you've also been making bids on other assets and working through it. And I was just looking at the text messages from Chris because he was asking. He sent me a text yesterday about something, and I was like, just figure 12 months of payments to buy what you're purchasing initially just because they're rough. So what are things you're doing? A
lot of the tapes we're getting right now, I'm sure a lot of other people are too, because we're probably all getting the same tapes. A lot of them are foreclosure and bankruptcy. And so I'm doing a lot of educating myself on foreclosures and bankruptcy because, like I said, just learning one thing at a time and kind of, making that initial bid and then, learning as you go and keep. So I've been spending a lot of time lately just educating myself on foreclosures. And I know I've been asking you a lot of questions on foreclosures and how to bid foreclosures. So I think that's a struggle right now, is just trying to understand how that works and how to bid that. And actually the ROI calculator that Gail sent over had that section in it for foreclosures. So that was kind of cool to see how those numbers figure out. And that was really nice to see all that. But our biggest problem is getting tapes that other people aren't getting, because we're making bids and then people are coming back like 10,000, 15,000 over, they're coming back with a counter bid, and it just that we run the numbers and they just don't make sense. There's no way we can make any money off their counter bids. And so we're getting lots of tapes. That's not the problem. It's just the bids, that we make aren't getting accepted, or they're getting countered with crazy prices. So.
Right. And then, I've had those conversations, like sometimes it just makes sense. Sometimes the better deals are the ones you don't do because you don't overbid, you don't overpay for things. And some people just, especially some of the BPOs we talked about, some of the sellers are smoking some big, thick crack rocks, smoking crack on their pricing because they think it's valuable. And then a BPO comes back like it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So besides that, what's anything else you struggling with? Are you having realtors go out and drive by, give you valuations, or?
Well, we had to get we haven't got a bid accepted yet beyond that other one. That was actually pretty easy because Chris just went. The one that we got was in St. Louis, kind of it's in green, but it's red and yellows and oranges kind of all around it. So
he's talking about the heat mapping on Trulia, everybody, just so you know. Yeah.
Yeah, do it. But going on Zillow, Chris just went on Zillow and found someone who sold a house in the neighborhood. And that person was awesome. He went out and took pictures for us and had no problem going out and looking for us. So I think that's the best way if you're buying in like neighborhood, like that was green, but like right next to it was, a little, so like finding someone who's willing to go into that neighborhood to look at it is, I think Zillow is a great way because it has all the realtors right there on the side.
Did you pay them anything, or is it part of a listing?
I think 50. I think what we've paid was 50 for him, and we told him like if we have to list it or anything, like I would love to work with him again. So he was a great realtor out there in St. Louis. So
it helps you when you have somebody now locally in a market that you can look at and go back to that well every time to have them.
Yeah, and we keep looking for more places in St. Louis too. So yeah, that's
good stuff. Now let's talk about the asset you bought. Have you had any workouts on it? Is it performing? Is it non-performing? What's the status with that thing?
Well, they just finished paying. So we took their reinstatement and put it into 2 payments, and they just finished paying their reinstatement.
Ooh, how much was how many months behind were they?
I think they were it ended up being $5,000. So yeah, yay!
And you paid how much for it?
We paid 15.
Wow. So you've already got a 33% return on this asset, and now they're paying on time, correct?
Well, they just finished, and that was even late though. So okay. I mean, it's still but I figured
I'll take $5,000 even if it's a month late.
yeah, I was okay with that. Yeah, but I mean, we've been working with Joel and with
Daniel Singer.
And so Daniel's been awesome because I'm like, he's not paying, and Daniel's like, I'll call him. So Daniel's been like on top of it, calling him right away, and then he sends me an email back right away letting me know. So they've been wonderful to work with over there, Daniel Singer and Joel Markovitz. They've been just great on top of that stuff.
They are phenomenal. We're actually going to be featuring Daniel and Joel Monday night on our Monday Note.
I saw that.
Webinar on diving deep into collateral files and bankruptcy, which they're the best at what they do. So we're pretty stoked about that. But
I'm excited. I signed up to watch that. I have to watch the rerun. I can't watch it live because it's dinner time for us out here.
It's dinner time with the little ones. I get that. That's the beauty about it there. But that's a good thing. You dove into that. You guys bought a note. You're working out the logistics of being in other sides of the world, obviously.
Yeah.
But you're not letting that stop you from moving forward. And not that you're failing. You're making offers are not accepted or too high. You just keep moving forward, marching forward. You're raising capital. You're doing what you can because, let alone, hey, not you're a single mom, but being a single mom home by herself with a husband across the world is not an easy task.
No, no, it's not. New appreciation for single moms out there.
Right.
But yeah.
Now, one thing you've been doing over the last few weeks, which I have kind of cracked up at with, I thought it very interesting, is you've been going out and attending other networking events, kind of, right, huh?
Yeah, I've been oh boy. Well, because you want to try the things, you want to get out there and in Reno's pretty small, so there's not a lot of, networking there's not like a lot of meetup groups and that kind of stuff here in Reno. So when something comes here, I've been trying to go to it, but I have to get babysitters. So it's a big deal. Like I have to plan for this stuff, and they've been kind of massive failures, but that's all right.
No, but you're going out, and what we're talking about, you're going out to the free seminars and a lot of the other education platforms where come by for 2 hours and let's talk about that, because you've been chronicling some of the stuff on your line, but you've been using it trying to raise capital and expand your network when you can.
So I went to the Rich Dad Poor Dad thing. And it was free to go to. And so I haven't read the book. I know Chris has, and a lot of people, when they got up and presented at the mastermind in Florida, you had to talk about your favorite book. And that was a lot of people's favorite book. And so I felt like, oh, this would be great. This would be interesting to go to. Right. And so I went, and Rich Dad Poor Dad just has the name. It's a different investor. And it was a completely different type of investing, which was actually interesting. I didn't fully understand it. Honestly, what he was doing. I think he was being more of a broker is what I think he was doing. He was teaching you how to do that part.
Wholesaling, I think, is actually what you said. It was a wholesaling. Okay. Yeah, is what you were telling me. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it was just interesting. And I was taking notes for a while because I'm like, this is kind of interesting. And then he went into this, that was that 30 minutes of the 2 hours. And then he went into a sales pitch for the next hour and a half. I was like, and it was just like, and it started off as like, you could have this, but it would be, I don't know, $20,000, but I'll knock it down to this if you buy it right now before you leave this room. And I'm a stubborn person. So even if I was interested in his training, I wouldn't have done it just because I would have been irritated. I think that he was forcing me to like make this choice right now instead of like think about it and decide if this was a good investment and good for our business. And, you know, so.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with taking a night to think about things and figure out where you're going, because that's, I think, a lot of investors. I know we've dealt with a lot of people who have spent, 20, 30, 40,000 on other programs or a multitude of things and never had any success. Steph actually started off as a Rich Dad student.
Okay.
Going to one of the things, went through a couple classes, and then she found the light of the dark side, the safety side of real estate, the note investing side. But have you communicated, or you collecting business cards there from people there too?
No, I didn't, because we went right in, and then everybody kind of trickled out and like were signing up or just left. And so there wasn't a time to network really, which is kind of disappointing. That's part of the reason I went, was to meet other people, but like they herded us all in, and then it was like, okay, we're done. And it was just sign up and people were grabbing you, it was interesting. I did get a free book. The guy next to me actually started laughing at me because I was just doodling in my notebook, and I started writing like, where's the meat? Where is the meat? I want meat. And I was using your line, like, give me meat, and he like pointed at my notebook and he started laughing. I was like, oh, I got caught.
Right.
But it started off so good. It started off interesting.
Right.
And I think it's important to continue learning, even if it's not a strategy that you would take. More or less, the wholesaling is not something we're interested in doing, but I think it's important to understand it. So I thought it would be good, even if it wasn't, something we use, just to kind of understand it a little more.
Right. I mean, it's good to know strategies, but no, it's good to be focused as well too for you. Yeah. So you should just drive by and have a banner on the side of your car. Hey, notes. On your deals. Save your money, buy more notes, right?
Buy more notes. Well, it was in the casino, so it was like tricky even getting in there, and like I had to walk through a casino to get in there and everything. Yeah. So.
You don't lose your money at the roulette tables. We'll help you lose it with a Rich Dad.
That's right.
So let's talk about you guys. You guys have goals though, and what are you and Chris focused on? Let's say the next 12 months. Well, let's focus this way, because he's been gone since when?
June. Since
June. So you're basically a third of the way through kind of him being deployed, right?
Yeah, he's come back in like April, May.
Okay. What's your guys' you're doing a great job communicating back and forth and making offers and communicating. I absolutely love doing that, because I love having you on, because you guys aren't taking no for an answer.
Right.
You aren't letting hurdles stop you from achieving things. And that's I think a lot of people can learn from that, who are working a regular 9-to-5 job and at home with a family every time. You guys have other things. So you guys talk in the mornings, because it's night over there and the mornings here. Is that correct?
Yeah. So from like 9 to noon is when Chris is available, 9 in Reno time. And so that's when it's his nighttime. So that's our time to talk. And we always, as soon as I drop my son off, I come home by 9:30. We're both talking through Skype about family, but also like what we're both going to do that day, where we are on certain things, goals that we have, where are we meeting our goals, where are we doing this. We've been doing a lot of strategizing, like talking strategies lately, just trying to get us organized. So not making as many bids. We've been doing a little due diligence, but we get into some of them and we're like, what? Let's not waste our time. We don't even want to deal with this. And so we've kind of haven't even been making that many bids lately, but we're getting tapes, but we start doing the due diligence on it. And we're just kind of like, this isn't what we're wanting.
And that's good, because that keeps you kind of clean, I like to say, versus doing stuff that's going to take away time from stuff. So let's ask this. What are you got, like, obviously like St. Louis in Missouri. What are your other like 4 or 5 markets that you like?
We've been looking at Ohio a lot, areas in Ohio. I know our other note that we JV'd is in Indiana.
Okay.
Illinois, kind of Midwest area. I have lots of friends. I went to school in Iowa, so a lot of my friends are in Missouri still, in those areas, Illinois and Indiana. So I have people out there who I have a realtor friend who's in Kansas City, and we asked her to go drive by a few, and she's like, I'm not driving by those neighborhoods. I don't think we ended up bidding on those. She was just like, I will not be driving those neighborhoods for you.
Thanks, friend.
Yeah, but I mean, so I know kind of a little bit of that area and out there. So, and I've driven through a lot of it on road trips and stuff through that area. So,
Where'd you go to school in Iowa?
Graceland University, it's a
Okay.
small little private college. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice in the Midwest there in the cornfields. So
Okay, yeah, basically.
exactly. So you guys have some goals. What's kind of your main thing? Is you want cash flow? You always want to
We
reinstate?
do want cash flow. Our goal is that when Chris comes back, one of us does not have to go back to a regular job. Hopefully both of us. That would be like ultimate, would be both of us could stay home doing this full time when he gets back. Realistically, hopefully, I mean, ultimately we want both of us to stay home, but one of us not to have to go back. So yeah, so one of us being able to stay and continue doing this full time, and one of us, so enough cash flow that we can stay home.
Getting $5,000 increments in renewal fees.
I know, right?
Well, that's a good start.
It is, yes.
Rock and roll in there for your
Yeah.
goal. What's your guys' goals for this year? As far as you guys have a number of deals that you're like, you want
five. We had five. I don't think we're gonna get five.
You're gonna get five. Quit saying
we might. I just have this feeling like when we get one, we're gonna get like several. We're not just gonna get those onesies, twosies at a time. It's just not gonna happen that way. I feel like we're sending out the emails. It just takes time, you know. It takes time. It was really interesting because yesterday I was talking. I do CrossFit, and so it's a small group of people. It's the same people who come to the 6:30 a.m. class every time, you know, and we support each other in all walks of life. And so they know that I quit, you know, took off year teaching to do this. And so we talk, and not that I'm trying to make them investors, not even like attempting to ask them to invest, but they're just asking what I'm doing and how's it going. And they're constantly asking. And one of them, I was like, 2 days ago, I was like, well, you watched my videos, right? And he's like, you have videos? And I was like, yeah. And like, he's like, I subscribed to your YouTube channel, but I never paid attention to it, right? So he went and watched my videos, and now he's like, I think I'm interested in investing. And I mean, this has been since May I've been talking about it, you know, so it just takes a while. And then actually the owner of my gym said the same thing. So yeah. So it's just kind of scary to have like friends invest with you in the sense, I mean, you know, but
as long as you're doing the right things, and
we are, and we would, and yeah,
you totally would. You don't have to be around you like about 30 seconds to see how big your heart is. So you and Chris both come from a good place. So that answers. Somebody asked the question, what else are you doing to raise capital besides the postcards or the letters out to investors? And you did a really good, cool thing. We got your thank you note with your postcard with your logo on it, which is really cool. You got one right there. Yeah, there you go. And where'd you order that? What's on the backside?
Nothing. I didn't know what to put on it.
Let's see the backside. It's blank. Let's see the backside.
Let me find one that's not written on. Oh, these are to my family. I wrote to my family. Nothing's on them. It's a letter to my mom.
Nice, though. But that makes it unique enough that you can do some stickies or custom write it and stuff like that. And you ordered those from where?
Vistaprint, I think.
Vistaprint. Yep.
I was ordering our labels because I got sick of handwriting Colletta Street Capital, you know, and our address on every single letter, all 50 of them. And so I went and just ordered some from Vistaprint, and so I can put our little labels on. And they were like, I'll throw this in. It was like $5, I think, for like 500. It was something ridiculous. So I have them all. But I didn't know what to put on the back, but you have the option. It wasn't that much more expensive to put anything on the back. But I thought like we could have these, you know, pass them out in different places, not just for mailing. So yeah. A
marketing piece that's multifaceted that you can use as a thank you letter, a postcard to investors, a business card when you're out traveling. You know, one of the things that you might do, here's an idea for you, because you've got a picture of the house. You got a good picture of the house that you guys closed on? Yeah. On one side, picture the house. Okay. The other side, talk about the deal. Okay. You know, just say, hey, the unpaid balance, how many months behind they were, what you paid for the asset. Okay. And then what has resulted in it. You got, you know, $5,000 in payments, plus they're paying $250 a month. So, and figuring out your annualized ROI on that, because, you know, that's, you got a 33% ROI right now. Okay. We figured out it's 65% if they pay the R&I or the P&I for a year and plus the reinstatement. Yeah. That's a happy dance.
I know. Well, I was thinking, I'm like, if they pay us back for a year, that's $5,000 plus the $5,000 they gave us. That's $10,000 right there when we bought it for 15.5.
67% ROI. That does not suck. Well, that would be a good little thing. That could be something you hand out, and you put your phone number on it, your address on there. That could be a business card, and you go out to networking events, or you're talking to people as well. So if you decide to go, stalk the Rich Dad seminar things, it could be.
What's sad? This is why I was sad. A lot of those people didn't look like they had a lot of money. Not that I'm judging people. They looked like people who were like, oh, this could be something. Yeah, they were desperate, and they looked like it was something that they could really like need and use in education. And so I would think I was more upset for them than I was for me, that they couldn't take something from that time there and go do something with it. They had to pay another $2,000 or $500, I think is what they find. Yeah, $495 or something. They finally knocked it down to, and most of those people look like they couldn't pay $500, or they would have to go talk to people. So they need more than, the next 10 minutes to walk behind us. So there's a full on toothless man sitting in front of me. Yeah. But he was taking notes, and he was like, he was.
I'm gonna go pawn my dentures to pay for.
Yeah. So,
hey, motivation. You never know if it's motivation.
Yeah, true.
That's the biggest thing. If people have a need, and if that's one of the biggest beliefs we've always had, that, hey, if we give somebody the tools to succeed, they'll go do it. Too many times there's upsells, and I think that a lot of people are so sick and tired of the smoke blowing. Let's hang that carrot, dangle that carrot in front of you for 2 hours, and then sign up for this, and then sign up for that, and then sign up for that, right?
Right. And I think if they realized that most people would have probably purchased that in the room if he would have just given us like some good information that made us still want more, but enough good information that's made you still want more. Mm-hmm. And then he could spend like 5 minutes talking about his product, and I would have probably thought about it, but so I think
you would have thought about it if you had a little bit more time and a little bit more information, right?
Right. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Do you like the note business, or do you hate it?
I kind of like it.
Kinda? What's up with that, huh?
I kind of love it.
I love it.
I kind of love it. I do. I'm having a hard time doing a lot of computer, like sitting at the computer. But I love, it's different for me. Completely different for me. But it's fun. It's something new. And I think it's funny because it's not as hard as you think it is, but it's harder than you think it is. Like there's certain things in it. And I feel like I'm actually becoming a more worldly person, I guess you could say, like just understanding a lot of things, because I used to leave the finances up to Chris and be like, okay, I trust you, he's like, I want to invest. I'm like, all right, if you trust the person, if you trust the investment, I trust you, type of thing. And so now I'm becoming more knowledgeable in a lot of those areas and avenues. And Chris and I can actually have a lot more conversations about other things. It's opening what we can have a conversation about. I don't know. It's just new, and I'm meeting so many cool people, and I'm getting to travel. I just went out to California for the Distressed Expo, and I'm doing the cruise.
Oh yeah, you're doing the IRA cruise in January. That's awesome.
I'm doing the IRA cruise, yeah.
You guys have, that's one big thing too. I think is a big goal, ultimate big goal for you and Chris, though, is to travel a lot, though, right?
Yeah. Ultimately, we want to be able to do this overseas. We want to live in Europe. Yeah. So we used to live in Europe. For those of you who don't know, we were stationed in Italy for 4 years. So we want to get back. So
go back to Italy and hang out, huh?
Maybe Germany. They're very organized in Germany. I could live in Germany.
You need to give Lily O'Day a phone call from the mastermind. She's got a villa that she inherited from her family, because family, she's big Italian family, and she actually inherited, I think, something in Sicily, actually.
Ooh. Beautiful.
I could see maybe a mastermind connection there with it.
Yeah, I can go live there, help fix it up. I wouldn't mind living in Sicily. But yeah, ultimately, that's kind of where we want to be able to do this, because this is great. A job you can do from anywhere. You just need internet, So, and to be able to make the calls, you just have to figure out your time schedule. But if Chris can do it from Kuwait, and he's calling banks, we're calling servicers, we're calling banks.
That's the thing I wanted to bring up next. He's actually reaching out, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday or the day before. when I called you about this, because you guys were pulling lists and then making phone calls, and he was being able to knock out like 10 to 20 phone calls a day. Is that about right? Or are you making the phone calls?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're making, or he is?
He is, sorry.
It's okay.
He is.
And you're a little frustrated because you were having as much luck as you had, because you're just pulling it and you're not having any phone numbers. You're just contacting the people off of LinkedIn. And I was like, well, here's the list of asset managers that you forgot about at the Fast Track, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
now
you put that all in.
Numbers, now you've got emails and stuff like that to reach out to, but you'll have a lot more success. But the big, I think I said you guys would make maybe 50 phone calls, you said, over about a week or two?
Yeah, I think I made like 20 or 30 originally. And then after Mastermind, you suggested we go to the servicers. Mm-hmm. So Krista pulled up that list and started calling servicers. And then we've kind of gone back to the banks again. Okay. So it's like 50, 60, 70, something like that. Yeah. Our goal is like 100 a week, I think. And we're starting that next week, our goal, like actually meeting our goal. We've had that for a while, but next week is to start. Yeah.
Well, cool. That's good stuff. Guys, if you're watching on the Facebook Live, what questions do you have for Katie? Now's your opportunity to ask somebody who's a little green, but still making some green, right? Mm-hmm. Not a brand new newbie who hasn't pulled the trigger, but doing some things. We got Laura Blunk on here, says, yay to the mastermind. Good to see you. Nicole just shared your website, looks like here, your YouTube channel in the Facebook Live for everybody too, so get some likes for it there for you. You guys, I mean, that's the thing. You're sharing videos of exactly what you're doing and where you're going. Yeah, I think you did one video from your hotel room where you're like, oh, we're here, and
yeah. And I did one from I think when I got to Rich Dad Poor Dad, I did one there, and then I did a review after. It's funny because I feel like you can see the progression from my first videos. And on YouTube, you can't even see my first videos because I used a thing that wouldn't allow me to post it up onto YouTube. So I had to figure out a different way to do videos. But it used to take me hours. And now my last video I did that I put out this week, Monday, I think, it was the first take. And I was like, and we're good. It was exciting.
As you practice it, right, though?
Yeah, I practiced it several times, but then I only videotaped it once. And I was like, it's good enough. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. So
delivered is better than perfect any time for the most part.
Yeah. And I laugh at myself when I stumble over words, clearly. I put myself up. I think of a video I said I was in the panel, and I was like, wait, no, I'm not I wasn't in the panel. So
we got a question from Matthew Hell asking. Matthew's out of Minnesota. So another cornfield boy, because I'm originally from Minnesota too. So Matt asked you, what marketing avenue is working the best for you, Facebook or YouTube right now, would you say?
I'd say Facebook, but it's what's nice about YouTube is it's a place to house all your videos in one place. So if they don't have to scroll through your whole Facebook to find all those videos. But I don't know how many people are actually going in and actually watching them on YouTube. But I started somebody said something to actually upload the video itself onto Facebook, not link it from YouTube, because if you link it from YouTube, it won't. And it's funny because on Monday morning, I forgot that and I linked it from YouTube, and I don't think anybody saw it. It got no views, no likes, nothing. And I realized, I'm like, why isn't this in the feed? So I went back and I realized that I just linked it to YouTube. So I went and uploaded it, and instantly it was getting likes and people were watching it, and it was in the feed and everything. So just make sure that you upload the video directly to Facebook. I think
make sure that your videos are 15 minutes or less as well. 5. Oh, it's 5. Oh, it's right. 5 right now. It's starting off. It can get to 15.
Yeah.
But, be careful. And it's why it's sometimes good if you do have a longer video that's longer than that, go back and shoot a short little teaser video.
Oh.
And put the link in the comments on Facebook. Hey, here's the full version of the video too. So if you ever run into that, Katie. So.
Yeah. But the Facebook or the YouTube is just nice to house your videos there. But it's hard to find, like unless you can get your name on it, it's really hard to find those. Like if you just typed in my name, it's not easy to find YouTube videos in general.
Right. So let's look at something. Do you have 100 likes? Because once the minute you get over 100 likes.
I have like 68, 60, 50, 60.
All right, everybody. So for those that are listening on the podcast here afterwards, we can go to YouTube, look for Colletta Street, Colleta, right? Colletta Street Capital LLC. Huh?
Colletta.
Oh, 2 L's, 2 T's. That's right. Okay. So Colletta Street Capital LLC on there. If you're on here watching right now live, Nicole's in the comments has put the link. Let's go ahead and get her likes.
Hey,
We've done that. Let's get her likes, and then she can customize it, and it'll be easier to find for everybody to find the journey that Katie and Chris, don't forget Chris, is on right now. So Dan Sadowski just said he just subscribed to the YouTube video. Great job. Wish you all the best. You should reach out to Dan, too, because he's got a big trade he's working on in Indianapolis, too.
Okay. Well, we are friends on Facebook.
There you go. Reach out to Dan. Donovan asked a question, what are you doing to expand your email database?
We're going through and doing the LinkedIn like you suggested, and going through and typing like secondary marketing, and then like friending all those people. We typed up a paragraph, like a longer paragraph on what our company, it's kind of like an executive summary, but a really small one for LinkedIn. And then we have a mini one because you can only put a few little words in like the notes section when you, and so we send that. And then as soon as they connect with me, I send them the bigger paragraph instantly on messaging. So they're getting, and then we export. So we look up secondary marketing, and then I think special asset. And then I think we started just doing hedge funds, I think is what we started.
Another thing you can do as well is type in real estate investor.
Oh, there you go. So,
or note investors initially. Note investors not a too big a list, but if you type in real estate investors, you'll find a lot there. And then you may even do that real estate investor Reno.
Okay.
And that might help you because you can narrow the location down in LinkedIn there for you. So that'll help you locally. So
yeah, idea. And then once a month, we're exporting all that into our MailChimp. So. And
just churn and burning, just doing the actions one day at a time, right?
Yeah. Well, when you gave that checkoff list,
Yeah.
So we have our checkoff list.
Ooh, the 30-30 matrix.
And so this has been something we've been working on. We looked at yours, and so we went through and decided how many times a month we want to do each one. So we wrote that up here, and then what days we want to do it on and who's going to be doing it. And then I went through and highlighted all the days that are supposed. Notice there's a lot without checks on it, but there is a lot of checks where they're supposed to be. So you can see like all the highlights are where we're supposed to be doing something that day. And so we have a lot of work to do, but it's kind of, and I have my October one already ready and highlighted and ready to rock and roll. So yeah.
It's funny what happens when you do the things I tell you to do, that it might actually work, right?
Well, it's nice because it holds you accountable. Like I look over and I'm like, wait, there's a yellow for today. What am I supposed to do? And so it's that extra little reminder of what you're supposed to be doing.
So I'll tell you this, guys. If you'd like a copy of the 30-30 matrix, we'll send you a PDF. All you got to do is email me, and it's Scott at the Note Closers. Oh crap! Hang on, I'm gonna say it wrong. We got a new email because my other email got bombarded with stuff. So real easy. We got an email now just for the podcast. Let me pull it up here real fast for you. But if you'd like to get that, we'll send you a PDF version. No, I'm not gonna send you an Excel version. You're gonna need to spend some time on it. But it's Scott at thenoteclosershow.com. Scott at thenoteclosershow.com will allow for you. Send it there, say, hey, I want the 30-30 matrix. We'll be glad to email you over a copy of exactly what Katie has there that she's working through. Not adjusted for what she does, but a generic one, and then you can run with it yourself, right?
Yeah.
So.
And I like prettier fonts, so I kind of changed the font. And I'm a visual person, so I got to have something a little, And we took some columns out of things that we don't do, and we added columns in of what we wanted to do, So it's good. It's great. To start with is a great.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's funny is we provide that checklist at the Distressed Mortgage Expo during my marketing, and only 30 people picked it up.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of. I still had a stack of 150 of them when I was walking out of there. So
silly people. Silly people.
Silly.
It's just a great visual, and it gets you oh wait, I need to do this. I need to do this. Yeah, it's Monday. I'm supposed to send this out too.
Yeah, it's got the days of the month. Sunday through Saturday on the left hand side, and then on the top you have all the different things that I put in there. The first 30. It's 30 by 30. 30 days and 30 activities. Now you're not going to do every activity every day. But there's something you can do every day, Facebook posting or Twitter posting, and other things you do once a month, like going to a RIA meeting or going to a networking event. Those are some great things. So once again, if you email us, Scott at thenoteclosershow.com, we'll be glad to get you a PDF version of that. So if you send it to me right now while you're watching this Facebook Live, you probably won't see it till Sunday or Monday, because as soon as we wrap this up, I'm headed to the house and headed to Houston for Quest IRA. event there for you. But Katie, what's your you got your website up and running? You got a website?
We don't have a website. That is something we're working on still. Yeah. So we gotta.
I purposely asked you that question now because a lot of people will wait to do anything until they have a website.
Oh.
And yeah, you're not letting that stop you.
No. I feel like MailChimp is one of those things you need to do right away, so you can start getting those emails to send out. I feel like that should be the first thing you do, because then you can start emailing people for tapes, and you can start, because all those asset managers, you can start emailing for tapes, so you start. It's funny because like even family, we started the MailChimp thing right away, I think within the first week, and people still, like family members are like, you do what now? You're not a teacher? And I'm like, it's been since May, so it just takes a while. So if anything, just like get that email going, what weekly email just going.
Are you seeing an increased response rate though? How many weeks have you been sending out your email blast now?
I think we've sent like 8 or 9. I think the ones we got the most hit, like amazing open rates on, are the ones, and actually the response, like emailing, because they respond back to Chris, getting emails from investors on, are the ones that actually had the deal on them. So like the ones we've been sending out lately, they've just been like, oh, I went to the expo, oh, I did that, and so it was more not as, it's still good stuff, but not the notes that they want to see, the assets. Right. And so we've done some on like, so I need to do a new one on our St. Louis asset, because now that they're reinstating, but it's cool to see when we send out those ones where it's like, oh, this is just an update. That's when the people are like,
mm-hmm. You're so sharing your case studies. Sharing your case studies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We haven't yet put ones in like, oh, we're looking. I think we're both a little uncomfortable with doing ones that we are making bids on. Like, I don't know. I feel like, because I don't want to keep saying we're making bids on these ones and then we don't get it, So I think we're waiting to at least until it gets accepted, and then from there start making videos on the ones we're doing. But yeah, I feel like you just have to do it repetitively for a while before, and that's one of our struggles, is finding that rhythm and then sticking with it, even though you don't see immediate results, sticking with it. So. I
love it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's proof is in the pudding. You don't have to be closing on 300 deals to then send emails out. You start off with 1, or you start off with 0 and get the ball rolling. And like you said, you get people that respond to you. Your warm market initially is going to love you. Hey, what are you doing now? And then the people that you share with your videos at your CrossFit and other friends are interested in doing things with you. You build a little momentum. The learning curve at first is steep, but you start seeing actions. When you start taking actions, you see good things come back to you, right, Katie?
Yeah, and the more action you take, the more you learn too. Because I feel like it's like I didn't feel comfortable at first talking with people about it, just because I felt like I was going to say something wrong. And now, I mean, look at I'm on your show. But I feel like the more I go through this, through our asset, and more learning, and the more events I go to, and the more questions I ask, the more confident I feel, and the more confident I come across also. So I think you just got to jump in. You just got to do it. What's the worst could happen? I guess you lose your money, maybe, I guess.
Yeah, go back to work.
But if you do your due diligence, you shouldn't lose that money, in my opinion. If you plan, and that was the big thing of the Distress Expo, it was all about looking at your exit strategies and making a plan for each one of those. And so that's really what Chris and I have been working on too, is looking at all of our exit strategies and coming up with those. So, and I know Adam Adams and Jen Adams were talking at breakfast at the Distress Expo, and he's like, I want to make a flow chart of all of them. And so he's making a flow chart. It's awesome. He sent it to me, and I was like, Adams, send me something. Yeah, so just getting a flow chart of what, where you want to go and what you could do with all of those. And so
I have one of those already. I should share that. Yeah.
Oh, you probably should.
I probably no reason to reinvent the wheel. I have all sorts of stuff that we've done over the last 10 years, but that's okay. We might have to make a show about the flow chart. That's what we might have to do. So.
You're taking Adam's thunder. Don't take Adam's thunder.
No, not taking Adam's thunder, because I haven't seen his flow chart. It's not something we talked about it before on a Monday note before about the case studies and stuff like that. Which way is, whether it's performing or it's occupied or vacant, can go. And
yeah, because I feel like I soaked in everything about to get it reperforming or to modify at all the training, but I didn't know. I'm sure you talked about the other stuff, but my brain was so full. So just trying to learn about all the other options and exit strategies and how it all works, and because it all does come into consideration when you are making the bids. And so, yeah. But I think if you do your due diligence and you have a good bid, there's not a lot of horrible things that could happen.
Check your values.
Yeah.
Check your taxes, and then order O&E title report. Those three biggest things are the most important things to secure your investment. You did those things. You had your realtor in the local area drive by it, and it was fine. You checked taxes on it before you closed. I know we talked with Chris about that. And then you pulled O&E report and you looked at it. We discussed that as well. And then you also put the asset in capable hands. You put it in Madison Management with Kevin Cordell and Shante Duffy and their amazing group over there. And then, of course, with Joel Markovitz and Daniel Singer from the Daniel Singer Law Group, who has helped you do it. Yeah. They've earned their fee to bring them.
Oh, yeah. They're wonderful. And they're so supportive, too. And I'm just asking them questions. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm new. I'm just going to ask you questions, and they respond to me and answer my questions. And so they're, educating me, too, in this whole system.
Exactly.
You've got to have an organization. You got to figure out how to organize yourself. Because right now, I think that's where we're working on getting, what is it, CRM?
You see your email, your customer relationship management software?
Yeah, that thing, just how it all, I've been watching some of Adam's videos on his
Pipe Drive.
Yeah, because with one asset, it's not that confusing, but once you have more than one, just how to organize my email and Gmail is just I'm just, trying to figure out how to keep on top of all your emails too. So
we try not to send too many out. It's usually
not yours in general, but the ones that, the ones that come in, you know what I mean? So your conversations that you're having with other people and making sure that you're staying on top of it and where to sort that and where to find it and put it. And so it's just, it's a lot, but if you look at it in little pieces, it doesn't feel like that much.
Exactly. One day at a time, one email at a time, one asset at a time. So,
and I already have 9 emails lined up in my MailChimp to send out.
Oh, look at you delegating, doing some good things.
I love that you showed us how to set them up for the people who don't open it to resend. So I put 1 in and then I set up 2 more resends after that.
So do me a favor, shoot me an email when you look at the resend, see what your total open rate is over the entire list. So if you get 20% the first time that you send it out to your database, and then you get another 6% to the other that didn't open it, another 4% or whatever, let me know. I'm willing to bet it's going to be around 30 to 40% probably.
Total. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And we just have the asset manager one. It's pretty much the same question, the same little paragraph that we sent to them on LinkedIn. We use that, but it's now in MailChimp with, our logo and picture and information stuff in it.
You're branding yourself.
Trying.
Yeah, exactly. So, Donovan asked a question. Where do you see yourself in 12 months?
12 months. Just making, I think finding our rhythm and keeping with it, and hopefully both of us staying home doing it, or at least one of us staying home and doing it.
Cool.
We'll be one, but our goal, our hope is 2, staying close. Yeah.
Exactly.
I kind of like this working from home thing. It's kind of nice.
It's kind of nice, right? Good stuff. So, hey, I'm going to let you go. I know you go head out here before too long to go pick up the little ones. But Katie, thank you so much for sharing and being open, answering questions, and just sharing exactly what you're doing. I know a lot of people appreciate it. I see that the likes and things on Facebook and stuff like that. Guys, if you are, once again, you find her, go to YouTube, like her page on YouTube. Otherwise, you can find it, if you're listening on the podcast on Stitcher, iTunes, you can go to YouTube and search Colletta with 2 L's and 2 T's, Colletta Street Capital LLC. You can also find Katie online on Facebook at Katie Moton, correct?
Yeah, Moton.
Moton. Do I say it wrong? Moton. It's Moton? Or
it's Moton. I know, it's funny. Yeah, it's because it's the O-N. It's weird. It's all right. People either say it wrong or spell it wrong. It's all right.
That's all right. So thanks so much, Katie. You guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your Friday night. Give Chris a big virtual hug and high five from all of us.
Next time I'll have him on stick with me in here.
Hey, you know what? We'll do this. Why don't we do this? Why don't we follow up with you in 60 or 90 days?
I can go run and grab it if you want me to grab it. And I can.
You know what? That's pretty. If it's a quick, you should see this. This is hilarious. It's good stuff. So, yeah, guys. So she's doing a great job of just planning in, planning out, doing the little things, one thing at a time, making things happen. Yes, Laura, you're right, exactly. Wix is an easy way to kind of create your own website. Wix is pretty good. This is awesome. There's Chris. He's making an encore or good stuff, guys.
Yep.
We'll see you
All
later.
right, thanks, Scott.
Thanks, guys. Bye.